Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked. 62, episode 62. Here we are. There is a tornado behind me, so please ignore all loud bangs.
And or wind, and or if Sierra has to go... What do you have? Like, do you have something in your building to run to? I don't understand.
The bathtub. That's where you're supposed to be.
You're supposed to go to your bathtub?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Will all four of you fit in one bathtub? I guess you
well,
have two.
we have two
You
bathtubs.
Have two. Yeah.
But we would all get in one, yes.
Oh.
I'm not going to leave my children.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well, hopefully it's like the last time and you guys are okay.
Speaking of
tornadoes,
dying, I guess. Fun fact for you, more people are killed by vending machines each year than by sharks.
Well, that does make me feel better considering how much I hate the open ocean because I'm terrified of all things that are bigger than me in the water, so including
It doesn't
sharks.
just make you hate vending machines?
No, because vending machines give me snacks.
So as long as you get a snack before you die, it's fine.
That's fine, yeah. I want to be fed and happy first. Also, like, how is that happening? Like, are people sticking their arm up in the machine to get whatever snack that they got ripped off for because it ate their coin and then it's falling on them? Or, like, shaking it to get their snack and then it falls on them? I feel like somebody had to have done something dumb to
Yeah,
have
I
that
assume
happen.
it's either the shaking one or, like vending machine, people, like people transporting them.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
They're just providing the snacks. They don't deserve to... Nobody deserves to die, but we know what we're talking about. That's wild. That is wild.
It is very sad.
It is very sad. Can you imagine that being on your, like, epitaph? Like, death by...
Vending machine?
Vending machine? Like, that's so sad. Oh,
She just wanted a snack.
Yeah, and on her tombstone it read, "It ate her coin."
Do you have a fun fact for me?
Yes, I do. And this is actually a fun fact about elephants that I didn't know, which is hard to believe. I know, Kevin taught this one to me by sending me an adorable video on Instagram. So, elephants go through 6 or 7 sets of teeth in their lifetime.
No.
Yeah.
I don't like that one. It is not fun.
No,
I don't like teeth.
I know.
This is not okay.
I'm not even going to show you what
It's
an
not
elephant tooth
adorable.
looks like because that's more upsetting. I'll just leave
Disgusting.
it at that. It's upsetting, but I guess it makes sense. Like when they eat shit, they're like eating everything. So that's got to be tough on your
I thought
teeth.
they just eat like grass, though.
They do, but like sometimes when they like get stuff from trees, they'll eat like the whole branch. Like the like little twig with leaves and like whatever fruit they went after.
I feel like humans are rougher on their teeth.
Than
We,
elephants?
Chew up
I agree.
gobstoppers, you know?
Speak for yourself. I learned at a young age that I shouldn't do that
I
when I
don't.
cracked a tooth.
Yeah, I've never cracked a tooth. I'm just saying humans do those things.
It was a loose baby tooth. It was already going to come out, let's face it.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I'm like a wild animal. I see you already have had a sip of this delicious sangria.
I have.
I bought
Did you put
watermelons.
mint in yours again?
I did.
Why do you keep putting mint in your drinks?
Because it said, well, I thought there was mint in it. I misunderstood. Also, I thought that I had peaches, and I did not. So mine is peachless, but everything else is in here. I just had to strain it and put it in a new cup because my watermelon had seeds in it, and I didn't want to drink that. So I have little frozen watermelon chunks for ice cubes and mint. And it's very cloudy, watermelon juicy.
Yeah.
Yours is probably more beautiful. I'm not allowed to be a bartender on the show. We've decided.
I've been drinking mine already. So my stuff that was on top is now at the bottom. But I have my salt rim.
It looks nice.
The sangria this week is a watermelon margarita sangria. So it's watermelon juice, tequila, and wine. The
And mint if
Pinot
you're a savage like Alicia.
Pinot Noir rosé wine from last week. What did you just say?
I said, and mint if you're a savage like Alicia.
Oh.
I had mint from our other sangria.
Yeah.
When you think margarita, you think lime. Sometimes you think mint also. I don't know.
Well, there is lime in this one.
It is.
And frozen peaches and watermelons.
It's so good.
It's really good. I love
She
watermelon
boozy,
juice. Yeah, watermelon juice, and I've had watermelon margaritas before. Watermelon juice really masks the tequila taste, and I love that. But also, it's really dangerous.
So does mint and lime. Like, I think we need to make our Nick Jonas 1-year podiversary margarita at some point as a sangria, because that was really good too.
That was very much just
tequila, mint, and lime. I understand. But this is wine, booze, and watermelon juice. So let's face it.
I mean, it's the same. I used my Nick Jonas tequila for this, so
Did
it
you?
works.
Oh, I drank all of it for that episode. So I had to use cheap tequila.
Yeah.
But it's still really good.
It is really, really good.
I
like it a lot.
Because I transferred cups because seeds, but I'm still happy with how it turned out.
Do you eat your watermelon with salt?
I do. It's delightful. I know that's weird. But
no,
it's
I
really
do too.
Good. I also put salt on apples, though. We discussed this.
That's weird. I do not remember discussing that. That is extremely weird.
We did on our weird foods, bitch and wine. Go check that out on Patreon if you're interested, guys. Sierra eats weirder things than that, so.
Well, salt on watermelon is allegedly a southern thing. And salt on the rim of this margarita, because it's watermelon, is fucking delicious.
It is really good. I'm kind of upset that I don't have... Well, I kind of taste the salt in my drink when I transferred cups. I made a mess again. And I left it for Kevin to clean up because I am so sick right now, guys. I apologize if I sound like I'm running out of air in between sentences, because I am. Because asthma. So I left my mess for Kevin to clean up. I was like, I can't do it. I'm tired. I'm going to sit down again. That is the downside of having severe asthma, guys. Any cold you get, it's going to try and kill you. So Sierra's being attacked by tornadoes. I'm being attacked by my own lungs. But at least we have delicious sangria. What would you rate this one?
I think I would rate it probably a 9, maybe a 9.5.
I think I'm going to go a 9 as well.
I think I'm going to do 9.5. It's really good. Like, my first sip of it was good, but now that it's like my ice is melting, the salt is getting in there, it's really fucking good.
I'm jealous.
It's so easy to drink.
I'm jealous that I don't have peaches. I know that it's just a garnish, but I feel like peach juice kind of sleeping in there throughout would be tasty.
I think my peaches are just about melted, so I'm starting to taste that flavor a little too, because I did freeze them.
I'm so upset. I swear that I had peaches in my freezer. I'm convinced Kevin threw them out to make room for all of his meat.
Yeah.
Because we have a tiny freezer.
Yeah. I had canned peaches, and I just put them on a plate and stuck them in the freezer.
That's smart. God damn it. Yeah, I always have peaches in the freezer because, 1, they're delicious, and 2, because I like to make margaritas.
Well, today I am covering a Murderless case. It is a long one. It's a doozy.
Oh, shit.
We're going to have to just hurry and get into it. First, let's take a real quick break to hear from the ladies over at Sheer Crime Podcast. All right, are you ready?
I am ready. I'm excited. I'm perking myself up.
Like I said, this is a Murderless episode. Just like in your last episode, I kind of have 2 different cases for you today. They are sort of connected. The first one has very, very little information, but it is very, very important to tell. So I am going to get right into that one first.
This is a very vague intro. I'm excited.
Yes. On August 22nd, 1998, a 16-year-old Tara Lynn Smith left her home to go out for a jog sometime between 5 and 7 p.m. She wasn't supposed to be leaving the house at this time of night without her parents home, but she told her sister she would be right back. Although she was wearing running clothes and she did like to jog, her sister knew she probably wasn't actually going jogging. Tara was being a little shady and probably lying about what she was doing and why. Unfortunately, Tara was never seen again.
No.
Tara's parents reported her missing at about 10 p.m. that night, but the police didn't respond to the scene or begin to start looking for her until 36 hours later. The night that she left was a Saturday, and I guess they just thought maybe a teenager leaving on a Saturday would come back home on her own before Monday, but she didn't. And she didn't take anything with her when she left either. No clothes, no wallet, no money, no bag. The police eventually checked Tara's communications and saw interactions between her and a guy from the neighborhood named Charles, who went by Troy Zink. They had recently talked about meeting up at the intersection of Sunset Drive and Old Oregon Trail on the same night. In reports, this man was called many things: an acquaintance of Tara's, her martial arts instructor, or even her boyfriend. Whatever he was to Tara, Tara's parents did not like it, and they did not like him, because Troy was a 29-year-old convicted rapist. When Troy
Sorry,
finally...
I realized I was muted. I said no. Also, how do you go from Charles to Troy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why Troy is what he went with, but Troy is definitely like a fucking douchebag's name.
Right? Except for Troy Bolton. You take that back.
No. Troy Bolton was a douchebag. He turned
was.
into Ted Bundy, so...
Well, and he did break up with her while on vacation in High School Musical too, so... That's insane, though. Why did, how old was she again?
16.
Okay, so why the fuck did they wait so long?
It was Saturday. When Troy was finally questioned, again, this is over 36 hours later, he had recently had his truck detailed and his tires replaced, according to Medium.com.
Yikes.
The police asked if they met up that night, and Troy admitted that they did. He said that she told him she wanted to run away from her small town and needed to borrow $2,000. He said that he told her he didn't have any money to give her, and then she asked him for a ride, and so he dropped her off a few blocks away where she asked at the intersection of Old Oregon Trail and Old Alturas Road. Troy's residence and workplace were searched, but nothing linking him to Tara's disappearance was ever found. To this day, Tara Lynn Smith has never been found, and no one has been linked in connection to her disappearance. Her parents believe wholeheartedly that Troy had something to do with their daughter's disappearance, but there just isn't enough information for police to proceed. So, if you are from the Redding, California area, and you know anything at all, please contact the Shasta County Sheriff's Office at 530-245-6025. And we're going right on to story number 2. Because 18 years in the future, another woman would go missing from that very same spot.
No.
The corner of Sunset Drive and Old Oregon Trail. And the woman who went missing this time was in the same high school class as Tara all those years ago.
No! What?
Yes.
I don't like this type of serendipity. I am on the edge of my seat. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Okay, so to get into the story, I was going to start by playing a 911 call.
Oh, no.
But this is already a really, really long episode. And also my computer was being a bitch, so I'm not going to play the 911 call. So the 911 call has names in it. I'm not going to mention names until almost the end. I want us to focus on the story and not on who it's about. You might be able to guess who it's about right away, but I'm just trying to leave a little mystery. So, in the call, what you would hear is a man who came home from work on November 2nd, 2016, November 2nd, 2016 is also the day that Meredith that Amanda Knox found Meredith dead. Not 2016, but November 2nd. I was like, man, that day sounds familiar.
Yeah, maybe because we just recorded it twice.
Yeah. And edited it again. Okay, yeah, November 2nd.
Crazy.
Anyway. A man comes home from work November 2nd, 2016, and found that his wife was missing. But we later learn that there was a Christmas gift that was half-wrapped, sitting on the floor, as if his wife was in the middle of wrapping it when she got distracted somehow. He called his wife a few times and texted her, asking where she was, but he didn't get a response. Living in the small town of Redding, California, he knew that the service wasn't super great. Maybe his wife wasn't getting the messages and calls. He used the Find My iPhone app on his phone to locate his wife's phone. This is the same app that I have where my husband, sister, and dad can all find me if I ever go missing, so don't even think about it. And it showed that she was down by the mailboxes. In this community, the mailboxes aren't on the houses. They're at a little mailbox station like they do at condos or apartments. On his way down to the mailboxes to figure out what was going on, he also called the kids' daycare to see what time his wife picked them up. But he learned on that phone call that she never did pick the kids up. They were still at daycare.
Oh no.
When he was at the corner of Sunset Drive and Old Oregon Trail, where the mailboxes were, he saw his wife's phone lying on the ground, with her headphones and a few strands of her hair laying on top.
Like her headphones were ripped out kind of thing?
Yes.
Oh no, I don't like that.
He mentions to the dispatcher that he took a picture before picking up the phone. Later, he said that it kind of seemed like it was placed there, but also like maybe it was a sign or a message from whoever may have grabbed her. The last time that he heard from his wife was at 10:47 a.m. that day. She had texted him asking if he planned to come home for lunch. He didn't text back until a few hours later, around 1 p.m., when he just sent, "Sorry, busy day." According to witnesses, his wife had gotten her eyebrows done early that day. She was at TJ Maxx in the mid-morning or early afternoon, and a few neighbors had seen her out for a run, too, either around 11 a.m. or maybe between 1 or 2 p.m. Although many other neighbors had mentioned that they had never seen her run before, ever. And this is probably why the caller, the man, mentioned so many times in the 911 call, if you listen to it, that his wife had recently started running. She was not a runner, but she was trying to be. It was a new hobby of hers. The police decided that she probably disappeared at about 2 p.m. And, surprisingly, they began searching for her as soon as they arrived at that house that night at 6:30 p.m. Maybe they didn't want to take any chances like they did 18 years ago. After all, there were over 20 sex predators living within 3 miles from that spot at Sunset Drive and Old Oregon Trail.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking predators. Do you have that, have you ever looked at that map? Are there any near you?
No, but there's 2 in the neighborhood that I went to elementary school in that I learned as an adult, and they had lived there while I was going to elementary school there, so that was kind of unsettling.
Yeah, I check at like every address I've ever lived at, and the most that I've ever seen in where I lived was when I lived in Panama City. We used to take walks like down by the beach and stuff in our neighborhood, and I would get on the map and walk around the neighborhood like, one lives right here. Never bring the kids in front of this house. Like I would, this is a sex predator, this is a sex predator, and Jesse's like, stop it. And I'm like, I don't care. They did something wrong. Like,
Put
people
them
should
on this
know.
list for a reason.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
it's in
and
the name
on
of
the
protecting
list-
your children, absolutely.
And on the list, it tells you what they did. So, like, if there's one that's like, oh, indecent exposure at a park, like, that person probably peed on a tree at a park when there were no kids around. But if it's like attempted sexual assault,
Yeah.
obviously that is fucking serious.
It always reminds me of Charlie Day's character in Horrible Bosses.
Mm-hmm.
It was nighttime. I had to go. I'd been drinking. I didn't know it was a park.
Yeah, I tell Jesse that all the time because we talked about this in the Amanda Knox episode, but he has such a small bladder. Like, he has to pee all the time. Like, no matter where we go, if they don't have a bathroom, he pees outside. And, like, you know,
Man,
at the car door.
are even more in common.
Yeah, but I'm like, you need to, like, be careful. If you are within a certain amount of feet from a park, you could be fucking in trouble. Like, big time trouble. Pay attention where you pee.
On a list somewhere forever.
Yes. It's crazy.
At least you didn't bring your megaphone with you when you were doing that. So
I know.
I mean, that's fine. That's crazy, though.
So all through the investigation, the man who made this 911 call was completely cooperative, as were his wife's family. The home was searched without a warrant. The car was searched without a warrant. The computers and phones were turned over voluntarily. And he even took and passed a polygraph test. But the police felt like something was wrong. They didn't have any leads. They didn't quite understand why she only half-wrapped a present before she went for a run. And they didn't know why the dogs they brought in couldn't find a scent of her anywhere near where her phone was found.
Yeah, that's weird.
While the police were trying to decide how to go about finding his wife, he was also trying on his own. He and her family believed that she was taken by sex traffickers. Taken 3, the movie, had just come out a year before, so maybe it was hot on their minds. Or maybe there had been a lot of reports of sex trafficking in that area on social media. I don't know about you, but people post about that shit on Facebook all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's a hot spot in Walmart in Western Hills. It's like, what? Okay, nobody go there. So maybe, you know, Redding, California had a lot of that going on. Or maybe, you know, thinking that she was taken by sex traffickers was just the best way to convince themselves that she was still alive.
Yeah.
They did jump to the conclusion very quickly, but also, you know, again, maybe it was for, you know, to ease their own minds.
Yeah.
They did start a GoFundMe to help come up with a reward for bringing her home, and they were able to raise close to $50,000.
Wow.
They also eventually found this website. Super weird. It's a website ran by this guy. He was kind of like a private investigator, but they didn't hire him.
Okay.
He was funded.
He was doing this on his own?
Well, he was funded by an anonymous man who claimed to see the family's cries on TV and just wanted to help. The anonymous man donated an undisclosed amount of money that he said he requested to be used for ransom money.
Okay.
By the way, he is only a he because he said he was a he. We don't actually know. The weird part about it is no one actually asked for any ransom money. Like, no one knew if she was still alive. They just hoped she was still alive.
So you can't assume ransom without knowing what's...
Yeah. The anonymous person was reaching out, you know, through the weird PI dude who was on TV, and claiming to want to speak to whoever had his wife. The anonymous guy was saying, just bring her home and we'll give you all of the money, no questions asked. But the police contacted the PI and were like, dude, that's not how this shit works. Like, if someone out there did take her, that's a crime. We have to take them in. You can't just say, you'll give them money, no questions asked. That's not okay. So eventually, they changed their statement on public TV to the alleged kidnapper. And they said, whoever has her has been taken too long and they're no longer offering them any money. Instead, they were going to threaten the kidnapper with the money. If the kidnapper didn't bring her back, they were going to use every bit of the money to track the kidnapper down and put them in jail. Apparently, this threatening tactic worked because the very next day, on November 24th, 22 days after she vanished, she reappeared again.
What?
150 miles away. She's back.
What the fuck? Okay, I'm glad I gave you a drum roll for that. That was worth it. What the hell?
So then there was another 911 call that I was going to play here.
Okay.
It was basically just this woman who called into 911 like, hey, there's some lady running on I-5 right now. It looks like her hands are like handcuffed to her waist. She has long blonde hair. She's waving like a shirt or something around in the air. She looks like she's hurt. Someone should probably come down here. And then the ambulance gets there and says, yeah, she's in bad shape. She looks like she's been abused.
It's like Cindy Paulson-esque.
Right,
with
yeah.
your hands bound.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So here's what she says happened to her.
Okay.
She says that on the day that she disappeared, she did go out for a run. When she was at the corner of Sunset Drive and Old Oregon Trail, 2 Hispanic women in a dark-colored SUV pulled up next to her and tried to talk to her. When she inched closer to them, they pulled out a gun and aimed it at her and forced her into their vehicle. One of the women was young, with straight dark hair and thin eyebrows. The other was old, with curly dark hair and with hints of gray and thick eyebrows. They drove her around for a while. She was in and out of sleep. And when they finally stopped, they took her out to where she was held. She was chained to a pole in a closet in a room that had the windows boarded up. She said that the women claimed they were going to sell her, and whenever she tried to escape or fight back, they would beat her. She had bruises all over her body to prove it, yellow ones, black ones, proof that she had been beaten over a period of time. She also said that they cut her hair, broke her nose, starved her, and took her clothes and made her wear someone else's. But she was never sexually assaulted by anyone. This was also double-checked with a rape kit and confirmed that she was telling the truth about that. There was even a hot brand mark on her shoulder. Like, branded like fucking
brand?
cattle.
Yeah. Oh, no.
DNA evidence was taken from the clothes that she was wearing, and it showed profiles of 1 male and 1 female. However, she did say it was 2 women who took her. The DNA was run against the family and the criminal database, but there were no matches. They assumed the female DNA belonged to one of the kidnappers, and the male DNA belonged to the person who probably owned the clothes before, because they were not her clothes. A little more weirdness, though. She was able to leave the hospital after just an hour or 2 after being checked out. So her injuries had to have been at least a little superficial, even if it wasn't ever made public. Also, why would a sex trafficker want to cut her hair and break her nose and give her bruises? You would think that they want their product to look great and perfect. If she was feisty, you'd think the kidnapper would just drug her.
Yeah.
But there were no reports of any drugs in her system.
Okay.
The 2 Hispanic women who took her had her the whole time, she said, and they only spoke in Spanish, so she didn't understand them much. They spoke in English to her just one time, when they laughed in her face, saying that no one cared that she was gone, and they all thought she just ran away. And then they said to her that the person they were going to sell her to was a cop, so law enforcement wouldn't have been of any help.
Okay.
She also said that she noticed that they had argued either the day before or the day that she was finally freed, based on their elevated voices, but still in Spanish. She said they were yelling back and forth. She heard a gunshot, and then it was just the younger one that ended up taking her in the car. So maybe the younger one killed the older one? When she was in the car, one hand was chained to her waist, and the other was chained to the inside of the car. There was a bag over her head. She doesn't remember how long she was in the vehicle, but eventually she was unchained from the car and pushed out on the highway. One arm was still chained to her waist, and she was waving around the bag that she took off of her head when that 911 call was made that someone was on the road.
Oh my God.
So, I think it's finally time to tell you who exactly I'm talking about, why I've been so hush-hush about it.
Okay.
The woman who was kidnapped and then returned was Sherri Papini. The caller who reported her missing was her husband, Keith Papini, and up until this year, this case was still considered open and unsolved. But now, the police believe they've solved it.
Oh my god.
Let me tell you about Sherri and Keith first.
Okay, because I had my eyes on him. Still do, I feel like.
Sherri Papini was born on June 11th, 1982 in Redding, California. Her husband, Keith, was her middle school boyfriend. He was actually her very first kiss in 8th grade.
Oh.
They grew apart, went their separate ways in and after high school, but eventually reconnected and had a cute love story that Sherri loved to brag about.
Oh.
When Sherri and Keith first started dating again as adults, Sherri was already married. But she was married to a military man who was stationed apart from her, from what I can tell. She said she had never lived with a man before, and she never spoke of her marriage, and neither did the ex-husband. They also got divorced as soon as she and Keith were getting serious. So, my own personal opinion, having been in the military myself, I believe they were probably just really good friends, and she agreed to marry him so that he could make a little extra money. When you're married in the military, you're considered to have a dependent, and you get a little extra money to live off base in your own place instead of living in the barracks. So even if she didn't live with him, just the marriage license would get him more money and more freedoms in the military.
Gotcha. I'm glad you explained that because I was about to ask. Because when you were in the military, you lived in the barracks, right? You and Jesse
I did
both
not.
did. No?
Well, yes. Yes, I did at the beginning. When I first met Jesse, I did. But as soon as I got pregnant, I had a dependent, so I didn't have to anymore.
I see. Little lady of yours.
Right. Sherri eventually started a blog where she talked all about her love story with Keith. Their moving in together, the eventual proposal and wedding, the 2 kids they had together. She was like an influencer for blogging. She kept everyone who cared to check out her website up to date on her life. When Sherri first went missing, again, her family actually seemed really worried. At one point, her mother makes a statement on TV to Sherri and whoever may have taken her, simply saying, "Sherri, please come home. We miss you. Your kids miss you."
Oh.
While that may seem like something any mom would say about their missing adult child in a press release, this statement seemed to be very pointed because we later find out that this wasn't the first time Sherri had been allegedly hurt.
What?
When Sherri was 21 years old, she had begun hurting herself and blaming it on her mother to get her mother into some sort of trouble. Sherri's mother filed a report against her own daughter and asked the police for help with what to do when your adult child is acting this way. And this wasn't the only report filed against young Sherri. When she was 17 or 18, she kicked down her sister's door to break in the house. She also burglarized her father's home and took money out of his bank accounts. But all of that was while she was young, dumb, and broke. She was an adult now. She had a loving husband and 2 beautiful babies who she adored. People literally called her Supermom while she was missing. Surely she wouldn't have left her kids, right?
Oh.
Maybe, if she was selfish enough, she could do this for the notoriety, as some people mentioned. But it's been 6 years, and there's no book deal, there's no TV show, and Sherri never even went public on TV. It was always her husband speaking on her behalf, trying to get to the bottom of the situation. She stayed out of the spotlight, and they even moved to a new town to get away from questioning people in the neighborhood. Some people theorized that Sherri may have been bored with her life and just wanted to get away and start over with another man, and then had second thoughts and decided to come back. Others theorized that she was selling or using drugs, or selling sex for money, and something went terribly wrong, and she was kidnapped. There were a few phone numbers found in Sherri's phone that were saved under girls' names, but were actually men's phone numbers. Maybe she was cheating with these men, maybe they were clients. We don't know anything about it other than there was one man that she planned to hang out with, but he was investigated by police and cleared as a suspect. They never actually hung out. It was just texts back and forth. When Sherri finally returned, she blamed her kidnapping on the 2 Hispanic women. But could this have been a lie? Maybe she was trying to cover up the fact that she wanted to run away, or she was doing something shady like selling or using drugs or selling sex. Maybe it was just the first thing that popped into her head. Or maybe she was a huge racist.
I was gonna say, because she's a white woman, and she's mentioning over and over again that these are Hispanic women that kidnapped her. I'm not assuming racism, but that was something that crossed my brain.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get super far into it because the story is just so long, but there are, during the investigation when police are talking with Sherri after she came home, there's multiple times when she's like, yeah, they only spoke Spanish, I don't know what they said. Or, yeah, they played really annoying Mexican music the whole time. Or, the only thing they played in the car was mariachi music. Like, very stereotypical things. Digging into her past, there was an old blog post on a website called skinheads.org with a Z. And this blog post surfaced. It was signed by a person who said their name was Sherri Grafe, which is Sherri's maiden name. And the post talked about getting into fights with Latino men and Latino women who didn't like her because she was drug-free and proud of her white heritage.
Okay, I don't...
Your face.
That puts a really bad taste in my mouth. I don't like it.
Sherri and her husband both claimed that a high school rival actually wrote this and just signed her name on it.
Okay.
And, you know, it was a
Convenient.
long time ago. She had nothing to do with it. And I have to admit that I really want to believe that because I have been victim of mean high school bullies myself.
Yes.
There's 2 or 3 girls that I knew and that I was in a fight with in high school one time, and they made an email account that with my name, it was sierrazorn@yahoo.com. They made this email account, signed me up for Craigslist, and posted on there asking for people to come to my house with my address for sex. So, like,
You
I
did
can
tell
relate.
me that, and I
Yeah.
still have beef with these girls.
Yeah, I can
And I wasn't
relate
even
to
there.
people doing awful things for no fucking reason, like, and claiming they're you. Like, that's
But
ridiculous.
hey, joke's on them because we have a super cool podcast, and I'm sure they've heard it, and they're like, damn, should have been nicer to her. That's what's happening. We know it.
I don't hate them now.
You're a nice...
I don't hate. Yeah. Either way, it definitely looks weird that someone said that in her name, racist shit about Hispanic women, and now she's claiming that her abductors were Hispanic women. But to play devil's advocate, maybe 2 Hispanic women saw that post made by someone else, thought it was made by Sherri, and then kidnapped her because she made a racist post. But probably not. So I need to ask you, have you seen this in the news recently? Did you read any of the articles?
No.
No? Okay.
I feel like I'm watching, like, a Netflix documentary
I'm
series
so
right now,
glad
and
that
I'm
you
like,
haven't,
what is
like,
happening?
seen or heard about it because I feel like
No.
everyone has.
No.
That's why I didn't want to say her name for so long.
No. We spend too much time researching our own stuff. I don't have time to pay attention in the news, apparently.
Right. So before I tell you the most recent update and the alleged solving of the case, do you want to give a guess or a theory on what you think could have happened?
I don't even know. It all feels very fake.
Yeah.
But if your Gone Girl Gone case taught me anything, it's
Right.
that anything is possible.
Right. Yeah, that's the
So
scariest part.
Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
This all feels like a publicity stunt, or like
Well,
for
okay, so
notoriety for her
that's
blog,
the question.
or like maybe I don't know. I don't
That's
like
the
it.
question. If it's fake, let's assume it's fake. Which one of those theories is it? Does she want notoriety even though she literally never even went on the news? Did she want to run away from her life? Was she a sex worker? Was she a drug addict? Was she selling? Like, what the fuck? You know?
don't know.
This was the question for years.
No kidding.
I have heard this story covered so many times. The first time I heard this story covered was in like 2017, like the very first podcast I ever listened to. I heard this story and I was like, holy shit. And literally March 2022
like
is when it was solved.
yesterday.
So like, yeah.
Crazy.
This whole time, all these years since 2016, people have been theorizing what could have happened.
I mean, I can't see her wanting to run away from her. Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe all of these blog posts of hers were just to save face. Maybe she didn't actually feel that way.
Yeah, if we've learned anything in the last 6 years from 2016 to 2022, it's that the internet is a fucking lie. Like, everything you read on social media is people trying to make their life look good when it really doesn't. Like, Gabby Petito, sadly.
Yeah.
Her life looked fucking beautiful.
But,
and he killed her.
Yeah.
Like,
But
it's
she was
not,
in an
it's
abusive
not
relationship,
beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. Tell me.
Okay.
What did you? Well, no, you can't tell me. But
No, I can. No.
Okay, what did you think?
I have always thought, you know, I'm an underdog kind of person. So I always thought that for sure, 100%, her husband had nothing to do with this. A lot of people are like, oh, he was in on this or he did this or this or that. So I always thought there's no way her husband has anything to do with this. Possibly she's telling the truth, but then the Hispanic thing is like, maybe not. I thought that it more of the either sex worker circumstances gone wrong or drug addict circumstances gone wrong or even boyfriend circumstances gone wrong. I thought maybe she was abused and beat and branded, not by a trafficker, but by, you know, someone who, you know, oh, she wanted to go hang out with a boyfriend and he ended up being a bad guy, or she had a client who was a sex worker and he ended up being a bad guy and she had to lie about it and be like, I was abducted, because she didn't want to ruin her reputation.
Yeah.
But I was wrong.
But the way that the little breadcrumbs have been sprinkled ever so, like from her phone, how her phone was found and her headphones and her hair to everything with no scent being anywhere near there. It just, I don't know, it feels too
The
cool.
thing that always threw me off was, why did she only half wrap a Christmas present to her husband? It feels like she wanted to be like to prove to him, I loved you enough to buy you this Christmas present, but you have to know it was a Christmas present, so I have to wrap it, but you have to know what's in it, so I can only half wrap it, and now I'm gone and you lost me, you know? Like, she was trying to prove to him that she was this hot commodity and like he needs to feel bad now. Yeah.
Ugh, I don't like any of it.
Yeah. Well, investigators never did give up on the case, but they did eventually investigate it in a way that would usually piss people off. Once they realized that they weren't getting any information or leads by looking for these alleged kidnappers, they started looking for evidence to prove that there were no kidnappers at all. In March of 2020, investigators got a hit on who the male DNA on Sherri's pants might belong to by using familial
God, if you tell me
DNA.
It's fucking Troy, I'm gonna lose my goddamn mind.
It is not Troy.
Okay.
It is not. To verify the hit that they got, they did what they did in Joseph James D'Angelo's case. That's the Golden State Killer. And they went through the alleged or, you know, suspected person's garbage. They tested an Honest Honey green tea bottle and confirmed the DNA match.
Honey green tea bottle. Fuck off.
Yep. And the man whose DNA was on Sherri's clothes, his name is James Reyes, and he was an ex-boyfriend of Sherri's. He said that they've known each other ever since they were really young, and they were once even engaged. Sherri had told him that her husband was beating her and raping her, and that reports about the abuse to police were not stopping him from continuing the abuse. There were no reports or allegations of abuse, by the way. Those were all lies.
Okay. Report your shit when it happens to you guys, okay? That's going to be number one advice here.
It didn't happen.
But if it does, report it.
Yes, please do. But also,
because they
don't
can't do anything.
fucking lie.
Yeah, no, never lie about that, because that's actually happening to people everywhere
Yeah.
all the time that have
Yeah.
no voice. So don't
Yeah.
be that person.
Yeah, let me keep going. It
Oh
gets...
God! Oh God!
Okay.
Am
So
I
the
gonna be mad?
ex-boyfriend... Yes. So this ex-boyfriend took Sherri in to protect her from her husband. He told the police every detail of what happened when he was talking with Sherri, including how they first got in contact, after he found some things of hers in his home and mailed them back to her. You know, old things from long ago when they used to be in a relationship. He's like, oh, I'm just going to mail these back to her. I don't need them anymore. That was in 2015. And she contacted him out of the blue, wanting to run away with him. They got prepaid, quote-unquote, burner phones to talk to each other. Probably because I'm being beaten. I can't talk to you on my normal phone. He checks it, you know?
Mm-hmm. By the way, if you're in a healthy, stable relationship, you shouldn't have to worry about people going through your phone.
Yeah, but also she took like, if you're being abused, your abuser probably does go through your phone. But she's not being abused. So she's like, oh, God, it's
And
just
also
pisses
the
me off.
weirdness of, like, the girl names saved in her phone that weren't.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
This is
multiple.
sketchy. This is
Yeah.
sketchy.
In the summer of 2016, she told James that he would need to pick her up at the corner of Sunset Drive and Old Oregon Trail in November. So this was pre-planned. She pre-planned to go missing from the same spot that someone she went to high school with actually went missing from. That's why the first story is important. She knew that story. She knew in real life a real person went missing, and she used that to her advantage.
That is so fucked up.
So fucked up.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Because that person is still missing.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. And to top
I'm
all that off,
mad.
when Sherri finally came home, she sat down and had dinner with Tara Lynn Smith's family. Like, you're poor, like, I'm sorry your daughter never came home. Like, I know what she went through. This was probably, yeah.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Oh my
Fucked
God. Are you
up.
kidding me?
So fucked. Ugh. And
I'm mad.
Sherri Papini is the reason why
fucking mad.
the police did not believe, what's her name? Huskins. Denise Huskins. Like,
Gone Girl Gone. Episode
Yes.
31. Go check it out, guys.
Sherri Papini is the real life fucking Gone Girl. Denise didn't fucking fake disappear. Sherri did. Anyway.
And guys, again, I can't plug that episode enough. If you listen to our Podiversary episode, it was one of my favorites. You've got to go check it out.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So, James said that when Sherri got to his house, she chose which bedroom she wanted to go in. She hung out inside of that bedroom like a recluse while she left him to sleep on the couch. She boarded up his windows, just like she said in the house that she was kidnapped and taken to. She was in a boarded up house, or a room with boarded up windows. James said that Sherri never left the house, but people did come over. A friend, a cousin, his mom, they all knew that Sherri was there. Sherri did not eat much while she was there on purpose to make herself look skinnier. She was 105 pounds when she left. She was 87 pounds when she returned. When she finally told James... Yeah. When she finally told James that she missed her kids and wanted to go back home, she started burning and hitting herself with her fists or with the bathtub or the walls or the floors or other furniture. James said that Sherri had asked him multiple times to hit her in the face or here or there, and he just couldn't go through with it. The only injuries...
Because he's not a psychopath.
Yeah. The only injuries that he caused to her is that he branded her shoulder when she asked him to. He went and, she was like, I need you to buy this brand tool and push it on me right here. And then also she asked him to shoot her in the leg with a pellet gun, and so he did that. Eventually, he was the one who drove her back to the drop-off site where she asked him to drop her off, and he said that she brought a bag of things with her, like the chains and the bag to put over her head.
Did he know what she was doing?
Well, he said that she told him that she was beaten by her husband.
Yeah.
And eventually she missed her kids and she had to go back. He didn't say this, but I assume the thought process is she's like, I have to make it look like I was kidnapped or else my husband's going to beat me even more,
Ugh.
You can only imagine.
Mm-hmm.
The police confronted Sherri with all of this information in 2020, and Sherri doubled down on the fact that she was kidnapped. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about, that it was definitely the women, whatever. She made comments about how, yeah, she may have been having affairs with other men while she was married, but she was definitely kidnapped. When the police mentioned James's name, like, are you sure it wasn't James you were staying with? Sherri put on this act that made it seem like she was thinking of blaming him for being the kidnapper. She said things like,
No.
James? It can't be. He would never do that to me. He loves me. No one is saying James did this to you.
So
He did this to your fucking self.
So she's a lying racist, is what
Yeah.
I'm gathering
Yep.
here. Ah!
After the interview with the FBI in 2020, investigators spent the last 2 years piecing together and gathering evidence. They have the phone that James used to communicate with Sherri and all of those messages between the two of them. They have witness statements from James and his mother and the others who saw Sherri there. They have the hot branding tool that was bought from Hobby Lobby, like James said, and was also pinned on Sherri's Pinterest board because she's an idiot.
Because she is the most basic white woman ever.
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Here's my kidnap kit. Look at this.
Right. Yeah. Let me pin
Dreams
what I'll
really
need.
do come true.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So, in total, in the time before and after she was allegedly kidnapped, Sherri received more than $30,000 from California's Victims' Compensation Board. She received more than $49,000 from the GoFundMe, which was eventually used to pay off her credit card debt. I said debt. She costed the public more than $230,000 in resources to investigate this alleged crime. On March 3rd, 2022, armed with all the actual evidence, Sherri was arrested and charged with making false statements to the FBI and with 34 counts of mail fraud. If she was found guilty of all of this, she would face a maximum of 25 years in prison and a $500,000 fine. She was set to have her pre-trial hearing on March 25th, 2022. However, she has recently decided to take a plea deal where she will plead guilty to 1 count of mail fraud and 1 count of making false statements. And I just looked at it, and from what I can see, she is going to owe... Where did it go? Sorry, give me 1 second. More than $300,000 in restitution and federal, state, and to federal, state, and local agencies. But they are recommending a reduced sentence, so we don't know what the jail time or more likely probation time is gonna be. I imagine she'll do a few months, if that. And with how well she acts and how narcissistic she seems to be, she'll probably make a Netflix documentary and pay back all those fines very easily.
Nobody let that happen. Don't do that. Netflix, don't.
Listen, I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard The Tinder Swindler and the, what is it called? The Bad Vegan. And Anna Delvey, which I was going to cover for this episode, but then Sherri Papini popped into the news, and I was like, oh, I have to cover this. Yeah, Anna Delvey, the Tinder swindler, and the bad vegan, all three of those people, all three of those documentaries are based on a criminal who stole or swindled or frauded, or, these are all terrible criminals who now have their own documentaries that they created that they get money for. And, they're just making money off of being fucking criminals because America's a little too lenient sometimes.
Man, no. I don't want that to happen. She sucks. She does not deserve that.
So do you think the husband was involved?
I don't know. That was literally what I was just going to ask you.
Yeah, I don't know either, because I've seen in...
Like you said, the 911 call, I'm assuming it's him that you were referring to, reiterates over and over again. Like, it's a new hobby. She just started running.
Yeah, so the 911 call is a little sketchy.
Do you think that that's because he didn't want them to think that he was the one responsible?
That's what I thought.
Because the husband is always the one that, quote-unquote, did it?
My thought was, after I found out that she is fucking guilty of faking it, my thought is her husband was fucking terrified. Like, probably Sherri was a true crime nut, just like all of us, and watched all these shows and said things like, oh, I'm running now. If you ever told somebody that I was running, they would never believe you. Like, they'll probably think that you killed me or something. Like, in my opinion, she was probably putting things into his head, making him feel guilty. Like the literal Gone Girl movie. Again, terrible fucking movie, but the premise is, don't listen to the next minute, maybe a minute and a half if you don't want spoilers. The premise is the woman is mad at her husband and decides to go missing and make it look like he murdered her. Like, she frames her husband for murder, but then comes back and is like, haha, you see what I can do? Don't fuck up again. So, to me, I think Sherri asked Keith, are you coming home for lunch today? He didn't text back for 3 hours because he was busy at work making fucking money for her. She was a stay-at-home mom, by the way.
God forbid.
And she was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. He works too much. There's no time for me. Let's see how he likes it when I'm fucking missing. And so she ran away and pretended she was missing and made it look like, you're going to wish I wasn't missing. Like, she half wrapped his present. She, was running when she wasn't a runner. Like, all these weird things. I don't think he was involved. I think he was fucking terrified he was going to be blamed.
I think I agree with that. Especially with as bad as it sounds, but like the typology of this type of woman. I don't think he had a lot of freedoms or, his own opinions, or like, she just doesn't strike me as somebody that let him if she was going to do all of this.
I
Not
agree.
to say that he was a beaten down man, but you know what I mean.
She seems very dramatic. She
yes.
reminds me exactly of many of my friends. I completely understand what you're saying.
Many of your friends. Please stop being
my
friends with these people.
Many of my friends from high school. I'm not friends with them anymore.
Oh, okay. I was like, Jesus, Sierra.
Yeah, no.
This is how you end up being framed for murder. Have you learned nothing?
This is why I'm not friends with them anymore.
Yeah, because they're horrible people.
Yeah.
That waste resources and time and
that wish I would die in the Navy.
And apparently, oh my God.
Yeah, that one.
Oh.
She's probably listening to this.
Yeah, well, I hope she... I'm not going to say
kidding.
that because
I don't
we are
hate
bigger
you.
people.
I hate no one.
We are bigger people.
I hate no one. I hold no grudges. But I could see you doing this if you're listening.
I know for a fact that one of my high school bullies listens to our podcast, and it's a very good ego boost. So I hope that the same... It's true, because when I went to a restaurant, she served me, and she mentioned it, so...
Interesting.
You know who you are.
Yeah. Well, the only reason that I think maybe someone knew something is that the prosecutors, investigators, FBI, I'm not sure. I read somewhere that someone said they are looking at charges for other people involved in the case. They just haven't made any charges yet. So maybe
But
someone,
would that
they said,
maybe
we don't think
be-
she did this on her own.
Oh, okay. Jesus, why would somebody do this? Like,
Yeah,
oh my God.
but I wanted to play you the 911 call because to me it does sound legit. Like, I don't know. I believed him. I was sad for him, scared for him.
Now that we know the whole story, let's play it.
911, what is your emergency? CHP transfer. Chief is on the line. Hello, can I help you?
Hello? Yeah, so I just got home from work, and my wife wasn't there, which is unusual, and my kids should have been there by now from, like, daycare. So I was like, oh, maybe she went on a walk. I couldn't find her, so I called the daycare to see what time she picked up the kids. The kids were never picked up, so I got freaked out, so I hit, like, the Find My iPhone app thing, and it said that it showed her phone, like, at our end of our driveway. We don't have really good service.
Okay.
Not the end of our driveway, but the end of our street. So I just drove down there, and I saw her phone with her headphones because she started running again. And I found her phone, and it's got, like, hair ripped out of it, like, in the headphones. So I'm, like, totally freaking out, thinking, like, somebody,
Okay,
like, grabbed her.
Okay, what's your address?
Redding.
Okay, what's your last name?
Yes. Papini, P-A-P-I-N-I.
And your first name?
Keith.
Keith?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go pick up your children?
No, I'm going to call my mom and have her do it.
Okay. What's your wife's name?
I'm going to, like, knock on every door. Sherri, S-H-E-R-R-I.
And same last name?
Yes.
She white, female?
Yes.
What's her date of birth?
It is June 11th, 1982.
Is her vehicle there? Does she not have a vehicle?
She has a vehicle at the house.
Okay, the vehicle is at the house?
She's running.
How? Okay.
Yes, I'm in it right now driving, and I took a picture of her phone on the ground before I picked it up.
Okay, how tall is she?
5'3", 5'4".
How much does she weigh?
100 pounds.
Eye color?
Like a bluish blue.
Okay, hair color?
Blonde.
Do you know what she was wearing? Is there
No
something
idea.
she always wears?
I'm assuming she went running, so
Okay,
probably
is there-
running athletic type clothes.
Okay, there's not an outfit she always wears or anything like that. Does she run with a dog or by herself?
By herself.
Okay. What time were the
She
kids
just
supposed
started running again, and we live in a... No,
When's the
I'm
last
sorry,
time?
I'm super mad right
When's the last time you heard from her?
now. She sent me a text asking me if I was coming home for lunch.
What time was
She's got a
that?
whole bunch of mixed... Well, give me 1 second. She sent me a text at 10:47 asking me if I was coming home from lunch from work. And I said, sorry, long day. And that was the last. Never spoke to her on the phone, never any other contact.
Okay, and what time are the kids supposed to be picked up?
Way before 5:30, she usually goes at like 4:45.
Okay.
4:30, 4:45.
Okay, are you headed back to the house, or where are you at right now?
I'm at the end of the driveway where I'm at the Old Oregon Trail and Sunrise where they meet, because that's right where I found her phone on the ground. Telling me that something happened to her is the way I'm looking at it. Then there was hair like in the headphones, like it got ripped off, or like they grabbed.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you're
okay.
trying to keep me calm, but obviously.
Yeah. What kind of vehicle are you in?
I'm in a black Kia Optima. Oh my God.
Okay.
And we live down kind of a sketchy street, so
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to knock on everybody's door, but I will if I'm allowed to do that.
Well, let's just have the officers contact you so they can start, processing everything, figure out what's going on, okay? And I understand you're freaking out a little bit. We want to make sure we get your kids, make sure they're okay.
Yeah, I'm going to call my mom and have her.
Yeah, they've been stuck at this. Your phone number?
Yes. you want me to wait right here for somebody, or?
If you want to head back to your residence so they can contact you there, and in case she does return.
Okay.
Okay. We'll have them contact
Okay.
you at your residence. Call us back if anything changes, all right?
All right, so they're going to call the number you just took down, the 355?
They'll probably call you when they're on their way, and they're going to come out in person.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's just...
Oh, no, I don't think
either.
he had anything
It's so
to do
sad.
with
And
it.
if you Google or if you YouTube like press releases and stuff, so like every single time, I'm sorry we're going way over on time, but every single time that like she never, after she was found, she never spoke to the police or to the press. Every time she would go to therapy, which she had to go to therapy, if she said anything in therapy, like, I remember this table specifically in the room, and it looked like this and whatever, he would go out to the public, to the news, and say, Sherri said she remembered this table. This is what it looked like. If anybody knows this table, please let us know. Like, we're just trying to find who did this to her. And that table, by the way, was the table that was in James' house. So,
Ugh.
so there were bits of
Christ.
truth that she sprinkled in that no one realized. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like, you know, this table belongs to the kidnapper. Someone let us know if you know of this table. So, like, yeah, he tried really hard for her, and I agree, she didn't deserve him.
What the
But I don't know, maybe he
fuck?
did it. Maybe we'll find out later that he helped. I don't know. I
And,
can't
her
imagine.
Kids are pretty young, right? Like they
Yeah,
mentioned
her kids
daycare?
were 4 and 2, I believe, when she went missing.
Why would you put your kids in this position where they're now
Yeah.
not gonna have a mom around? Like what? What kind of selfish bullshit do you need to?
Yeah, my theory is that her husband wasn't showing her enough time. Like,
God
he was
forbid,
working
because
too
he's
much.
working to support
Yeah.
you and his 2 children.
And her ridiculous credit cards. I feel like she was not getting enough attention from her husband, and so she was like, this'll make him love me. Let me fucking pretend that I was kidnapped.
Oh my god.
And then she came back. She had all that GoFundMe money. They paid off her credit cards with it. Her husband, like, you know, was by her side the whole time. People kept claiming, I bet she's fucking lying. She used to exaggerate things all the time in high school. She said that her mom used to beat her even though she didn't. She said she had a heart murmur even though she didn't. Like, all this stuff that people from her high school claimed. And he's like, how dare you? Like, my wife went through something. Like, I am staying beside her. Don't talk shit about her. Like, she went through this, and it's sad, and he got duped.
I think, yeah.
I can't imagine what he's thinking now. Like
Like, who the
now
fuck
that she
did I
finally
marry?
pleaded guilty. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
And was just staying with an ex-boyfriend.
Right? And it's like, what? Sorry, your entire life being provided for you without you having to lift a finger, not enough? Like,
Yeah, if it was me,
Jesus
if I
Christ.
were him, I'd be like, okay, number 1, divorce. Number 2, you are never allowed to see our children again. Like, you're a
Agreed.
danger.
yeah,
Fuck that shit.
Right?
Taking full custody.
You're pulling this shit instead of picking
Yeah.
them up
Yeah.
like they're
Fuck
supposed
that.
to be? Yeah, unbelievable. I hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hispanics don't want anything to do with you, you bitch.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
God, I'm so mad! I knew something stank from the minute you started this case.
Right.
I didn't know what it
know.
was, but all came together. I'm sorry,
I'm
Keith.
sorry.
Sorry, Keith, that I suspected you at the beginning.
It's always the husband, except when it's the wife.
Yeah, except when your wife is a fucking crazy person.
A crazy, selfish narcissist.
Right? Like, that's psychopath behavior. Like, I'm gonna
Seriously.
use this girl's story and make my own kidnapping story from it.
Yeah. One day, she's gonna be a fucking killer, or she's gonna do something again like this. Like, she's gonna
I hope
gonna
she's
escalate.
kidnapped for real. Does that make me a bad person? I'm putting it out
Please,
there.
nobody go kidnap her. We are not condoning the kidnapping of this
No.
woman.
But if it happens, I mean, karma.
That's correct. I believe in karma. But
Jesus. Ah, good job. Really good job telling the story.
thank you. I was trying really hard not to make it obvious. I'm sure there's a lot of listeners who've been following the case who already knew, but
Yelling at me through the headphones like, Alicia, you're so
as
dumb.
long as I did it for you, I don't even care.
Oh my god. I'm so mad.
I surprised you.
So mad. Oh, I want to punch her. We're not condoning punching either, but I just hate when people become reasons that other people's stories aren't
She is the
believed.
shit stain on humanity.
She is the shit stain on humanity.
Yeah.
God. Wasting resources, hurting people.
Making other white blonde women look bad.
Yeah, that did nothing.
Poor Tara Lynn Smith. She deserves to be found.
She does deserve to be found. And I understand that it was a very long time ago, and
Yeah.
the possibility of it ending happily is not, but
Poor
very
Denise
likely.
Huskins deserve to
Yeah.
be believed.
Yeah,
Like, Sherri's just ruined this for everybody. Okay?
Sherri is a bitch.
She's a bitch.
And before I have an asthma attack from anger, Sierra, what day is it today?
Today is April 26th. And on this day in history, I learned that sometimes extremely dumb fucking things are reported on as historical events, such as how Danny Wood of New Kids on the Block sprained his ankle when he stepped on a stuffed animal. Ridiculous. But also, on this day, today is the 4-year anniversary of the police identifying Joseph James D'Angelo as the Golden State Killer.
Oh,
Which is really cool because I used that a little bit in this case.
Yeah, you just referenced it. That is cool.
Yeah.
See, this is the type of serendipity I can appreciate.
Yes.
Wild. Oh, good job. Good job again.
Thanks.
Don't ever be Sherri Papini.
Don't
That's the
send
only advice.
things. Don't mail things back to like your ex from 5 years ago. They don't need it.
That's
They
not
haven't
a good
had it in
look.
5 years. Throw it away.
Yeah.
If you mail it back, they just might contact you and lie to you about being abused and then blame you for kidnapping them.
I
Who
can get you
knows?
to cattle prod them.
Just don't.
If any ex
Exes,
of yours
let them stay in the past.
asks you to cattle prod them, red flag. Red flag immediately. Do
You
not
broke
do
up for a
it.
reason.
Jesus Christ. Ugh, yeah. No, unbelievable.
This is your
Yeah,
sign not to get back with your exes.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is the sign you've been waiting for, listeners.
Yes.
Somebody is listening and is like, shit.
Yeah, it's fine because literally I believe in the universe giving you messages. The universe is telling me to tell you, don't fucking do it. Leave
Yeah.
the past in the past.
And if you've forgotten about
Let it
something
go.
for 5 years, you probably don't need it.
Right.
Right? Yeah. God damn it. And donate your DNA if you can, because
Yes.
who knows, it might help other cases like Joseph James D'Angelo be solved.
Yeah.
How cool would that be if your DNA costs like an infamous? It's like it sucks because you're related to that person, but then also like, woo!
My mom tells me all the, like, I've done ancestry DNA.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, why would you do that? The government uses it. And I'm like, Mom, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if anybody in our family murdered someone and the government uses it for that, I'm not mad. Like,
They should be caught.
yeah,
Sorry, Mom.
it's fine.
The government uses that. Oh, yes, Mom. That's exactly what it's for.
Use my familial DNA. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I give you permission to use my DNA to catch killers.
Mm-hmm.
God. Wild. Well, I'm gonna go angrily drink the rest of my sangria.
Mm-hmm.
And we will see you guys next week for a brand new episode. And in the meantime,
Keep it twisted.
Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can also check out all of our sources and materials, as well as photos for the episode, on our website at twistedanduncorked.com. And you can follow us on social media at Twisted and Uncorked or Twisted_pod on Twitter. Thank you so much for all of your love and support, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode. Cheers!